Okay, so let's see if we can get started here. So thanks for joining us today. And so I'm looking forward to discussing a few important things and key findings related to reskilling in the age of AI. And this has kind of been brought about because of a report that was released by IBM recently. I think it came out today or yesterday. There were some key findings in there that I wanted to mention as well. And let's see, be sure we are streaming. We're trying to stream to a lot of different places here at the same time, so kind of testing out Restream as well. So do bear with me if there's any technical difficulties. And looks like we are up and going and starting to get some people watching, so that's always good. And this is an unannounced, just kind of impromptu thing. I did put together a slide deck, which you should be able to see here on your screen. So please do let me know if there's any issues with sound, etc. And I'll be sharing a couple of links and resources today as well. And so this does have to do with reskilling in the age of AI. We're going to be discussing ChatGPT as well as Salesforce, but especially the skills that you need in order to succeed right now. And the world has changed significantly with the advent of ChatGPT and the mainstream of AI entering into the phrase well. And so it looks like, thank you, Brett, that's clear over LinkedIn. That's good to hear. Good to see you there in the chat. And so let's talk about reskilling, though, in the age of AI. And this is a report by IBM called Augmented Work for an Automated AI-Driven World. And I will put the link in the chat here momentarily. Let me try and do that and see if that goes out to all the various channels as well. And bear with me as I do that, and you can open that up. And that's a PDF from IBM. Okay. All right, so with that, in that report, which I have here also inside of my Acrobat Reader application, Augmented Work for an Automated AI-Driven World by IBM in order to help you boost performance with human-machine partnerships. There are a few things that kind of blew my mind here, and I'm just going to kind of page through some of the key takeaways real quick and leave it to you to check this out. And if the link didn't go through in the chat, I'll be sure to revisit all the different channels that I'm streaming to and share that with you after the fact. But there is in here that the impact of AI is going to mean that up to 1.4 billion workers in the global workforce will need to reskill. Where I really want to draw attention to, though, is this graph. Oh, here's the 1.4 million. The people skills are essential in the AI era. And so I really believe this personally as well. And it was good to see this kind of reinforced by thought leaders and executives that were polled by IBM. And they do these sorts of surveys every few years to see shifts over time as well. And based on that survey, executives summarized that up to 1.4 billion in the workforce will need to reskill in the next few years. And there are some areas that are more prone for being replaced by AI than others. Marketing and customer service are a little more prone to that than things such as procurement or risk compliance and finance here, it says. But then one thing that's really interesting that they highlighted in this chart here, and hopefully you can see this okay in my screen, is that STEM skills, proficiency in STEM. The way that you read this is across the top here, we've got these different percentages based on executive responses for the year 2016, 2018, and 2023. And you will see that time management skills and ability to prioritize has increased over time. It was down at 33% in 2016 and all the way up to 42% at the top here in 2023. And then proficiency in STEM used to be the topmost skill set in 2016 and now is all the way down here in 12th place at 28%. Still important, but not nearly as important as some of these others, such as time management, ability to work effectively in team environments, etc. And so I've kind of spent some time thinking about this as far as what this means and for us. And there is this seismic shift across the executive perspective as far as what is important now. And if you think back in time a few years, I saw that there was a time whenever tech executives were saying everyone can code and was really trying to promote this idea that anyone could code, and that wasn't necessarily the truth here. And on this slide, I asked ChatGPT to kind of segment what are the hard skills versus the soft skills on this chart here, and kind of to revisit this based on that categorization. And let me go ahead and go back to this where it's a little more zoomed in. These topmost ones are what are known as soft skills. You don't get into any sort of hard skills until you get into the fifth most listed thing here, analytic skills with business acumen. That's kind of a combination of hard skills and soft skills, because you got to have that business acumen as well. And then you don't start really getting into the hard skills, the more technical things, technical proficiencies, until you get later in this list. And so I think that myself and many online trainers, we tend to gravitate towards the hard skills. Here is how to code, or here's where to click, here's how to build a report or a dashboard or a profile, scenario-driven things inside of Salesforce, for example. But where you'll really need to focus in on now moving forward are things that are not necessarily hard skills, such as where to click or how to code, but more how to communicate. That is what I think is really going to be more important here, as signified in that graph. And then as well, I'll make the slide deck available also after the fact, once I've figured out how to share. And all right, so with that said, we have seen what I would call a seismic shift of restraints in this age of AI as well, in that prior to AI, we did see tech enthusiasts and saying that anyone can code and really pushing low code or no code. And now we're seeing that the greatest limitation is time, and where time is our greatest restraint now, because we do have the ability to do more with less because of things such as ChatGPT. And so that is leading to what is known as a low or no code era. And I call this the welcome to the low or no era. And seeing that with applications, there's low code or no code apps, or with books even. I've been looking into Amazon and Kindle publishing, etc. And I've seen people out there saying that you can actually create books with either little to no effort. That's thanks to AI. And then also a lot of those types of books would be things such as journals, coloring books, etc. But it seems like there is this shift towards low effort, no effort, low code, no code, etc. And that is because a lot of the menial and time-consuming tasks are being offloaded to AI. And then this is leading to where we can experience more prolific productivity, all right? So what that means is that you can really have the ability to be more prolific and create more, as well as be more productive if you know how to leverage tools such as Salesforce and ChatGPT. And what's so important about knowing tools such as ChatGPT and Salesforce is that this gives you almost a superpower where you can execute on ideas, whether those be your own or someone else's. This enables you to be a creator, and this is indeed a creator economy. And so it's essential that you really focus in on those skills here into the future as you leverage AI and tools such as Salesforce to be able to create applications and solutions. And really, when you think about the intersection between hard skills and those soft skills, or the things listed in that report, I really boil it down to problem solving being the key essential ingredient. If you are finding that you're being told often that you don't have enough experience, you're getting shot down in interviews, you're not exemplifying the ability to problem solve is the issue. You really want to look at your ability to communicate and also your ability to problem solve. And that is a combination of being able to combine your hard and soft skill sets in order to solve problems rather than create problems or identify problems. There's vast majority of people out there in the workforce tend to either just complain or say what's wrong with the situation, but they don't necessarily have the ability to problem solve. It's one thing to identify problems, but be able to solve those problems is what is a key skill there. And so there's concepts as well with AI, especially known as the human in the loop. And this is something that we're seeing with Salesforce with their advent of their AI solutions, is really that you're not necessarily going to be replaced by AI as long as you know how to use AI, but that a lot of these solutions that Salesforce is building is keeping the human in the loop and taking feedback from its human users as well, to be sure that the advice that's being given, the solutions that are being provided are you have a human in the loop of that as well. And why that's so important for you in your career is that uh, it is a human such as yourself that can identify any sort of opaque patterns and combinations where you can realize and see that if you combine certain things together, that that can make for quite a successful enterprise there as well. And so I want to make you aware as well. I want to open up if you have any questions as well, if I'm able to see the chat, hopefully. And as I mentioned, I'm just kind of troubleshooting and testing out Restream just kind of ad hoc here, but I did want to make you aware of my upcoming live Salesforce Administrator course, which is coming up next Tuesday, August 29th. You can use promo code LinkedIn to save $100. And then as well, be sure and hit the link there. I'll also provide the slide decks and the links in the replay areas also. And then if you have any questions, you can reach out here in the chat. I'll just stay on for a few moments. If you have any questions about Salesforce careers or certifications, and if you have any questions related to AI or ChatGPT as well. And then in the meantime, you can always reach out at support@examreadynow.com, okay? So with that, I think I'll go ahead and sign off if I can figure out how to end this stream. And appreciate everyone's time and attention, and look forward to talking more about the age of AI and maintaining relevance. And I do encourage you to check out this report as well from IBM as far as reskilling in the age of AI, and just really taking to heart these different implications as far as time management becoming so much more important, and communication skills, etc. All right, let me just check the chat here for a moment, and then we will be signing off. And if you have any questions, put those in the chat. All right, looks like there's some questions here. Tyler, I've been thinking of this topic often the last few months. Thank you for discussing this. You're welcome, Tyler. Glad to do that. And I think that it's an important topic for us to be discussing. And this isn't necessarily self-serving for me, because I've built my own career on the hard skills. And I think it's a combination of my ability to communicate. I'm able to communicate effectively and train, but it is training for hard skills. So I'm even rethinking everything that I do as well, but seeing the importance here of really being able to tell stories. And this is what will be the key to success in interviews and also in solutioning. Because if you have an idea for a solution, and if you're trying to problem solve but you can't communicate what those ideas are, then that will be a real problem as well. All right. And there's a question, what are your thoughts on asking interviewers if it's okay to use ChatGPT in a technical interview? I wouldn't admit to using ChatGPT in a technical interview, even though the reality is that prior to ChatGPT, most all developers that I know would use Google to Google answers to technical questions and coding specific things. And so I think it's more not necessarily mentioning that. Let me do this here and get off the screen and just kind of talk head on here. There's a little bit of delay on my screen. It's kind of tripping me out here. I need to not pay attention to what's going on to the side. But with that said, I would not mention in a technical interview that you're using ChatGPT unless it's an AI specific role where they're testing your ability to use ChatGPT effectively. There is a strong need for effective prompt engineering skills out there in the workforce, I believe. And I think that that's lacking as well. And I really come to understand how in depth you've got to go with your prompt engineering skills by starting to create ChatGPT courses, first for edX and then for Udemy. And now I'm in the midst of creating a prompt engineering course, and it has opened up so many possibilities as I've dove deeper into the different types of prompts that you can do, etc. As far as one-shot, no-shot, few-shot prompts, chain of thought prompts, etc. That really opened up a wealth of possibilities for myself as a course creator as well. And so I am using ChatGPT for a lot of what I do with marketing, sales, and service, and even content creation as well. I don't have a teleprompter going right now, so this is just me talking without the help of ChatGPT. But I think that you will see more and more acceptance to the use of ChatGPT over the coming months and years. There's kind of two schools of thought. There's companies out there that fear the use of ChatGPT and those that embrace it. There is kind of that dividing line, which is quite understandable as well, that as far as do we use our data to train ChatGPT's models or OpenAI's large language models as well. And I think you'll see over time, and this has kind of been rumored, is that OpenAI and other organizations that have AI tools of their own, it's inevitable that they will open up enterprise level licenses for organizations. It's as with anything else. History repeats itself. Some new solution comes along, and that's going to require certain paths, such as certification paths. I know that it's inevitable that OpenAI and others will have certifications around AI in general. There will also be more and more controls around security and data privacy and what can and can't be used for the training of these models. And also this concept of bringing your own model and having things be more in-house and building your own AI so that you're training on your own data sets, that keeping that in-house as well. And so I think that over time, companies will begin to embrace it more, but it takes a while for that to happen. So I would not mention that in a technical interview, at least for now, maybe in a year or two, unless it's specific to AI and your familiarity with ChatGPT and other large language model things. AI is not going to replace us. Question out there. Now, there's a saying, it's even in this report, I'll try and share this again, and I will put the link in the chat for the report as well here momentarily, but somewhere in here it says that you will not be replaced by AI, but you may be replaced by those that know how to use AI. So I would say no, you're not going to be replaced by AI. I am not going to Dreamforce, not able to make it this year. Thanks for asking. Went several years ago. A few words of wisdom: if you're going to Dreamforce, don't rent a car, just take Ubers. I rented a vehicle because I had a large family all going on that trip last time I was at Dreamforce, and it got broken into. So don't rent a vehicle, and just don't put anything valuable in a vehicle if you do, all right? But unable to attend, I'll be watching remotely, but would like to be more involved in local meetups and trying to do more as far as making appearances as I can, either in person or virtually as well. Any AI companies that excite me or have caught my eye. All right, so I'll be getting more vocal in the coming weeks about AI in general. But it's more than just OpenAI and their ChatGPT, which for me, that was love at first prompt. I'm still blown away by what ChatGPT can do, all of its limitations, keeping that in mind as well. And sometimes it does hallucinate, and you need to remind it of its training, if you will. But beyond ChatGPT, I think other tools that have blown me away would be Opus. I have a list on my board over to the right. Opus is an AI tool that identifies in longer clips like this what are the 1 minute or less clips that are likely to be shareable or quote unquote viral. It uses AI to kind of dissect a talk like this and can create reels for you. So a lot of things that I would have to pay someone hours and hours to do can now be done in minutes with something such as Opus. Another tool that's amazing is Rask. It's rask.ai, and that's a tool that I use to translate my courses into other languages. I used Rask exclusively to translate my administrator course, my Salesforce Certified Administrator course in Spanish, and I did not use any translators and just took this tool, said, okay, take these videos, translate them to Spanish, and I didn't even have it double-checked by Spanish speakers, okay? And released it on Udemy and decided I'm just going to release this and see how it does by way of the student reviews. And so far, it's rated higher than my English equivalent. It takes and ingests video and translates that into other languages as well. And so if I was smart, I would probably put an affiliate link to these tools down below, which I may after the fact, but those are ones that I've personally used. I've seen my son use Photoshop's AI through prompts and Midjourney as well. But even just with video and photos inside of Photoshop, you can replace the surroundings with things such as a post-apocalyptic scene. And so he's working on some things related to how to do big budget looking films on a low budget and more visual and Midjourney, and he's doing things like selling prompts on prompt basis. So there is so much going on that there's a proliferation of these different AI tools that are pretty amazing. And let me do this rather than just keeping it on the report. I'm just making sure that I'm still on screen as well, is that if you have any questions after the fact, you can always reach out to me at support@examreadynow.com. And we still have more questions rolling in as well. So it looks like it's taking a little time for people to kind of realize, like, oh, Mike's going live. I wonder what he's talking about. So let's see what else we've got. Okay, so Brad is saying that he's been partnering, quote unquote, with Bard and ChatGPT to accelerate productivity. Eager to leverage these tools, lots of space for creativity and accelerated problem solving. I need a structured way to grow this skill. Sounds like you're the guy again. Well, thank you. I'm working on solutions for that. I do have a ChatGPT course on Udemy, and so you can look for that as well. And I'm working on a prompt engineering course, and really just thinking about doing a lot of AI courses related to sales, marketing, and service, and even how to use that in combination with Salesforce. And so I welcome any and all feedback, because I was actually the first person to create a ChatGPT course on Udemy as far as specific to ChatGPT. And since then, there's close to 5,000. And so everyone is jumping in because it's such a hot topic. But I think where it's at is finding the proper use cases, not trying to be a jack of all trades, but finding specific things that relate to where you're at, whether that is communication skills or other soft skills that we were talking about, or if it's for small business, if you want to start your own business or consultancy or building a website or whatever it may be, interview skills, interview prep, you can use it for all of those things. So that's kind of the challenge, is trying to structure this in such a way that makes sense, a kind of a guided path, kind of like what I've done on the Salesforce side. And so believe me when I say I'm giving this, or I probably should put this on the screen more, I'm giving this a tremendous amount of thought, because we as humans now, we kind of have a new superpower with AI. And so now that we can do more, it is essential that we have time management and prioritization skills, and then as well that ability to be flexible, to communicate, to collaborate, all those buzzwords. But those are the things that, and it's kind of hard to see here, but you'll see it in the report when I share the link as well. You can kind of follow the lines as to what is rising in importance and what is falling, okay? So with that said, exciting times, and all of these things are kind of core or key skills, but finding that ability to couple your technical skills and improve your soft skills, I think that is where you will stand a chance in the age of AI, as far as maintaining and gaining relevancy in the economy of now and in the future. All right. All right. So what else we got? Daniel, salute to me. Thank you, Daniel. I personally very excited to leverage as a Salesforce BA who wears an admin hat also. So I think what's fascinating for a business analyst's perspective with AI is that you can, I have a book, the Business Analyst Book of Knowledge, Volume 3, somewhere nearby. You can get a too long didn't read for things like that, or to really identify and really leapfrog your skills in realms that I've been personally learning more of, as far as business analysis, with the advent of Salesforce's certification that came out about a year ago. And you can use this to help you come up with effective questions to ask. And that's a lot of the key skills for admins and business analysts, is asking good questions, not just agreeing to whatever's being asked of you, like, can you give me this button or this page or this list view, but more asking effective questions to solution things now and into the future, and gaining insights into how to identify key stakeholders, and even testing and QA, and how to establish proper protocol and procedures, and even identifying gaps in your own release plans and your own test plans, etc. What are the things that you don't know what you don't know, basically, and helping you to have more experience than you really do by leveraging tools such as that. So I agree that it's a very powerful tool. All right. What would you recommend to get integration architect certification? I've not looked at that one personally, so I don't have any personal advice on that. I would recommend that you look at the exam guide and any prerequisites. And I've been doing a lot of work with dissecting exam guides, and probably what I should do. I was just thinking about trying to do this live. But what I've done so much work on the admin side. I have taught over 100,000 people on the admin certification. I've taken people through my live class, over 25 different cohorts there. And just as a reminder on the live side of things, I've got the link there. You can go to examreadynow.com and see my live classes that are coming up and use promo code LinkedIn to get $100 off. But the point is that I've taught the content of this one certification so much that I was able to prompt ChatGPT to identify the topics of other exam guides based on my own work of extracting topics from the admin exam guide. And then from there, having it create study guides for me. And I think that I'm close to being able to release some of that information as far as equipping you on how to do the same for things such as this integration architect certification exam guide, so that can help guide your studies as well. So that is something to be continued at a later date, but be looking for more information around things. What I'm bouncing around thoughts would be things such as Trailblazer prompts. These would be ebooks or even live webinars where I'm training you on how to use ChatGPT to dissect things such as exam guides. Really fascinating what ChatGPT can do there. Let's see. And then thank you, Tyler, for sharing the link to the report. And then other AI-related apps that I think that can support BAs and admins and devs working with Salesforce. I don't have any specific recommendations specifically beyond ChatGPT. I've not tried a lot of other tools. Mine's more around video content creation because of what I do, trying to repurpose content and trying to translate content into other languages. But if I see those, I'll be sure and pass those along. And I think that's about all the questions so far. Let me get this out of the way. All right, let me see if I can share these links again in the chat, and let me know if this works or not. Okay, so let's see, chat. Okay, so this will post to some channels, but not all. So I just added the report link and also the link to Exam Ready Now for that upcoming live class on Tuesday. Okay. All right, with that said, I don't think we have any other questions, so I think I'm going to gracefully, hopefully, bow out if I can figure out how to end this. Oh, I think I know how. I think I figured it out. Okay, so here we go. All right, so I do appreciate everyone's time, attention, and just this important topic of reskilling in the age of AI. I think there's a lot more to come in the future, a lot of thought going into all this. And do reach out to me. Let me put this on the screen here. Do reach out at support@examreadynow.com if there's anything that you need. Mentioned a lot of resources, shared some in the chat. You may or may not be able to get to that depending on what platform you're watching on. And so you can reach me at support@examreadynow.com, and I'll get you whatever it is that you may need, whether that be a link to my ChatGPT course or the report or information on the live class, etc. So I do appreciate everyone's attention and time today.